Portland State campus police can keep their guns. That's the decision by the Portland State Board of Trustees.
It comes after student groups demanded officers be disarmed after the fatal shooting of Jason Washington last summer.
Well, university leaders defend their decision, saying it's necessary on an urban campus like this. But family members of Jason Washington, as well as some student leaders, say they are appalled by this decision today.
And our world has been destroyed.
The wife and children of Jason Washington, shot to death by Portland State University police last year.
Hey! All you guys! Hey, sir, you gotta have him back up. Get back! He's got a gun. Stop!
He was carrying a gun with a concealed weapon permit. His friends say he was trying to break up a fight by campus. The acting PSU president explained the decision today to keep armed officers, and Washington's widow also spoke.
These people, these children, these students back here told you guys years ago that this would happen. And no one has listened. And you continue to not listen. And I pray to God that no one else has to go through what we have gone through.
Now, some student leaders there today, opposed to armed officers, say they are organizing a boycott of the university. Officers, by the way, have been carrying guns here since 2015. University leaders say they will have 10 sworn officers with guns. There will also be 10 unarmed public safety officers, along with 10 unarmed student safety ambassadors. Leaders, though, with the group Disarm PSU say they are calling for action against the university.
Boycott PSU. We're done.
Boycott.
Shut your fucking face! Turn your face off.
Negative publicity, not what any school wants, trying to recruit students.
We've been trying to do a lot here to create an inclusive campus that respects diversity, inclusive campus that respects diversity, inclusive campus that respects diversity.
The team has faced criticism for claims of racial profiling. The loudest critic, Commissioner Joanne Hardesty, who earlier this year called for the unit to be disbanded.
The auditor's report shows that 59% of the stops, and this has been consistent since we've been collecting data, are of African Americans in a city with a 6% African American population. This is totally unexcusable and it must be addressed.
The city of Portland sees almost a shooting a day. That's according to police. And a recent spike in that number of shootings had us asking the police bureau what they're doing to reduce gun violence. KGW's Lindsay Nadrich got a first-hand look at Portland's gun violence reduction team and explains why they've been the focus of criticism.
This is the inside of Portland Police Bureau's North Precinct.
TOD will be conducting test fire in 30 seconds. So that alerts everybody in the precinct. We're going to fire these rounds.
Every handgun found during an arrest or at a crime scene ends up here to be test fired to see if it can be connected to multiple shootings.
We're going to fire these 2 rounds. These are 2 .45s.
Noise!
This year, the team got a new ballistic identification system in their precinct, allowing them to get quicker results testing weapons.
So the state crime lab has been doing it for us for a while, but it wasn't every single gun, and the turnaround time wasn't as quick.
Within hours, the team will know if the same gun was used in multiple shootings.
For a uniform team, for the last probably 2 weeks, they probably averaged 1 firearm recovery a day, which is pretty good, pretty high.
Sergeant Kenneth Dulio has been part of the unit for almost 10 years. The unit changed names about a year ago. Previously known as the Gang Unit, they're now called the Gun Violence Reduction Team. Instead of solely focusing on gang shootings, the team now responds to all shootings in the city. They're on pace to respond to roughly 400 shootings by the end of the year. So far, 76 people have been shot in 2019. 16 of those were fatal.
Taking approximately 400 shootings is a lot. It's almost overwhelming for a unit, but we're also facing a critical staffing crisis.
In 2015, Portland police as a whole recovered 747 firearms. By 2018, that number jumped to 1,034 firearms recovered. And this year, they're on pace to recover about the same amount of guns or more. The team has faced criticism for claims of racial profiling. The loudest critic, Commissioner Joanne Hardesty.
Well, imagine my shock.
Who earlier this year called for the unit to be disbanded.
The auditor's report shows that 59% of the stops, and this has been consistent since we've been collecting data, are of African Americans in a city with a 6% African American population. This is totally unexcusable, and it must be addressed.
You know, there are questions, and rightfully so, there should be questions around, you know, disparities in the number of a certain race, you know, contacted related to gun violence versus the percentage of that population in that city. But again, we're responsive to the shootings, and we're not deciding which ones to go to based on race.
I'm surprised you didn't know that.
So far this year, the team has made 324 arrests. Of those, 1% were Native American, 2% were Asian, 7% were Hispanic, 40% were white, and 50% were black.
What we have to go by is protecting the community, being responsive to criminal activity, and that's it. It's really that simple. And the numbers kind of fall where they may.
Do you guys racially profile?
100% no. And that's actually, for the people in this unit, is highly offensive. Like my officers, my detectives, other supervisors, they would risk their life in this work, right, for any race, anybody. And risk their life means they don't go home to their wives, their spouses, their kids. And that's why, you know, it hits people at the heart. Like, it's very offensive to say, hey, you're out targeting people, you're doing this and that, when it's actually the opposite. We want to reduce gun violence, and if there is a minority community affected by gun violence more than the other, we're actually going out there trying to get in the middle of it and protect that community.
Yes. Today, Jeffrey Sims was sentenced to about 6 years in prison. Well, the victim's mother is outraged, calling the sentence a slap on the wrist.
A smile as 29-year-old Jeffrey Sims Jr. entered the courtroom for his sentencing. Originally charged with murder, in July, Sims pleaded guilty to manslaughter for the death of 21-year-old Irvwea Herring.
This justice is like a joke to me. It really is.
This afternoon, her mother addressed the court.
I want the court to know I don't agree with the plea. I never have. And I would have rather 12 jurors pick. If they was found innocent or guilty, I'd be fine with that.
The crime happened August 17th, 2014 at the Eastwood Village Apartments at Southeast 151st and Powell. Around 5:30 a.m., investigators say members of the Hoover Gang bombarded the victim's apartment with gunfire. Police say the shooters intended to kill a member of the Bloods in retaliation for the shooting of another gang member earlier that night. Herring was not in a gang and not the intended target. The shooters were looking for her boyfriend. Sims was the sixth person arrested in the case. Today, a judge sentenced him to 6 years and 3 months in prison.
This is a sad case, and ma'am, I am truly sorry for what you've had to go through and your losses in this case. In a case like this, there is never any right answer that restores matters to what they were before. But I am going to sentence the defendant pursuant to the terms of the negotiated agreement.
Sims did have the chance to speak in court today, but he decided not to. As for the other 5 people arrested in this case, 2 have been convicted and 3 suspects have pending trials.
They've arrested a man caught on camera breaking into cars in Beaverton. He was also wanted for attempted murder in Portland. We showed you this dash cam video caught on a car in Beaverton last week. Police say it's Trevon Harrison. He turned himself in yesterday, but Portland police say that they have been looking for him too for attempted murder. He's accused of shooting into 2 apartments and 2 cars in southeast Portland in June. No one was hurt in that case.
So it's a way to repair harm that has happened in a school environment. It also pushes us from that punitive way of discipline.
We can teach them how to appropriately have healthy, productive relationships and advocate for their own needs. Then when they get into high school, we have created a different system for high school.
This is the man police used deadly force on yesterday morning in St. Helens. You see him here, 32-year-old Michael Veach. We're saying deadly force because police haven't specified how officers killed him, just that they didn't shoot him. If the name Michael Veach sounds familiar, it's because we've reported about him before. In April, he and his brother Matthew Veach were arrested. Matthew was charged with rendering criminal assistance to a third man, Brian Butts. Butts died in a shootout with authorities after he killed Cowlitz County Deputy Justin DeRozier in April. And to make this even more complicated, Butts' brother Daniel is in custody, accused of killing the Rainier Chief of Police, Ralph Painter, in 2011.
The original plan was to show up at Terry Shrunk Plaza as part of a national day of protest. Groups across the country demanding the president be forced out of office.
Trump should be impeached.
Here in Portland, the mission recently became twofold.
We were planning this event even before it became clear that we had someone right here in Portland who is literally at the center of this impeachment inquiry. What do we want?
Justice! That connection led protesters to the Heathman Hotel, one of 5 operated by Provenance Hotels, a Portland-based company founded by Gordon Sondland.
It is a key week of testimony ahead in the presidential impeachment inquiry. That includes testimony from Gordon Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the European Union. He's also a businessman with strong ties to Portland. He is set to testify Thursday, but
Gordon Sondland, tell the truth!
Today's protest and march are the latest local hit to Sondland's brand. Another crowd camped in front of the Heathman earlier this week, and Portland-based Salt and Straw pulled their patented ice cream delivery service from all Providence hotels. This after Congressman Earl Blumenauer called for a boycott of the properties.
We're talking about what I think is the gravest threat to our democracy that any of us have ever seen.
The company yesterday hit back, filing an ethics complaint against Blumenauer. A Providence rep telling KGW Sondland no longer serves as an executive. They added he stepped down more than a year ago when he transitioned over to public service. Today, this crowd still saw the connection as their chance to send a message.
Oregonians expect him to do the right thing, come clean, and tell the truth.
Turn your face off.